Another lie pushed by Eric Dubay is that Hitler was a misunderstood man, and he wasn't such a terrible guy. In fact, Dubay suggests that Hitler was opposed to the so-called Jew world order, and that Adolf Hitler is some sort of ally to us. Dubay describes Hitler as a hero. Hitler was not a hero. In fact, on the contrary, he was our enemy. Adolf Hitler was a member of the Thule Society, which was created by Baron Rudolf von Sebottendorf, who was a Freemason. The Thule Society followed the teachings of Freemason and Luciferian Helena Petrovna Blavatsky and the Theosophical Society, from which Hitler and the Nazi Party took the symbol of the swastika. Hitler was also known to sleep with a copy of The Secret Doctrine, a book by Blavatsky, next to his bedside. And, as expected, you will find the fingerprints of Rome all over the Nazi Party. To begin with, the Iron Cross was a popular medal and decoration for the Nazi soldiers, and is exactly the same as the Templar Cross. It is a pagan symbol used by Catholics today, and even features on the Pope's attire. The skull and bones was a symbol used on the helmets of the SS. It's also a symbol from Egypt, and used by the navy arm of the Knights Templar, who later became known as the Pirates. The skull and bones symbol can be found in Catholic cathedrals and in Yale University with the Skull and Bones Society. This is a powerful secret society whose initiation ceremony consists of a, quote, devil, a Don Quixote, and a pope. Don Quixote is a nickname for the Black Pope, or the General of the Jesuits. Now back to the Nazis. Quoting from page 195 of Codeword Babylon, P.D. Stewart writes, Heinrich Himmler, head of Hitler's SS, and Joseph Goebbels, Hitler's official minister of enlightenment and propaganda, were both Jesuit priests in full communion with the Church. Hitler himself said, quote, I can see Himmler as our Ignatius of Loyola, end quote. Walter Schellenberg, a Jesuit coadjutor and former chief of the German counter-espionage under Hitler, confessed after the war, quote, the SS organization had been constituted by Himmler according to the principles of the Jesuit order. Their regulations and the spiritual exercises prescribed by Ignatius of Loyola were the model Himmler tried to copy exactly. The Reichsführer, Himmler's title as Supreme Chief of the SS, was to be the equivalent of the Jesuits' general, and the whole structure of the direction was a close imitation of the Catholic Church's hierarchical order. Now, in case anyone doubts the authenticity of this quote, the fact alone is confirmed by German historian Friedrich Hoff, quote, this kinship between National Socialism and Catholicism is most striking if we study closely the propaganda methods and the interior organization of the party. End quote. Franz von Papen, another powerful figure being Vice-Chancellor of the Nazi Party, was a Knight of Malta and therefore another agent of Rome. Von Papen said, the Third Reich is the first world power which not only acknowledges, but also puts into practice, the high principles of the papacy. End quote. So, the Nazi Party was infested with Jesuits and agents of Rome, and Hitler was surrounded by Jesuits and Knights of Malta. But was Hitler himself a Jesuit? Well, reading between the lines, we can say he was certainly loyal to the order. As I have pointed out, Hitler referred to Himmler as our Ignatius of Loyola. Hitler also said, quote, I have learned much from the order of the Jesuits. Until now there has never been anything more grandiose on the earth than the hierarchical organization of the Catholic Church. I transferred much of this organization into my own party. End quote. In addition to this, Otto Strasser, one of the founders of the Nazi Party and author of the book Hitler and I, tells us that even Hitler's book Mein Kampf was ghost-written by a Jesuit priest called Bernhard Stempfler. Again, quoting Adolf Hitler, he said, above all I have learned from the Jesuits, and so did Lenin too as far as I recall. The world has never known anything quite so splendid as the hierarchical structure of the Catholic Church. There were quite a few things that I simply appropriated from the Jesuits for the use of the party. End quote. P.D. Stewart goes on to ask the question, how could Hitler borrow so much from the Jesuits unless he himself was deeply initiated into the order? But still, according to Eric Dubay, Hitler was a hero.
You are lying, so fuck what you say. I'll expose the flat earth and hail Hitler all day.
Now folks, I'm not going to mention the war, I'm not going to mention the concentration camps, and I'm not going to talk about the Holocaust, because according to Dubay, it never happened. Instead, I'm just going to hammer home the fact that Hitler and all of his close advisors and associates were loyal to the Pope, the Vatican, the papacy, the Jesuits. Call it what you want, I don't care. They all worked for the whore of Babylon, and Eric Dubay is advocating them. If this alone isn't enough to cast reasonable doubt over Dubay, then I don't know what is. Now, concerning this whole Jesuit and Vatican network of control, Eric Dubay will never tell his audience any of this. He will blame the Jews and the Freemasons, but he won't go any higher than that. He won't identify the real enemy. The reason why? Well, I believe he's a disinformation-controlled opposition agent, so it's not in his interest to tell you the truth and give you the whole picture. Secondly, if he accepted it and addressed it, he could no longer hail Hitler. Thirdly, the Roman Catholic Church is identified as the whore of Babylon in the Holy Bible. The Book of Revelations and the Book of Daniel identify our enemy through prophecy. Demonstrating that Rome and the Vatican control the world would only serve to validate Bible prophecy, which is not something that Eric Dubay wants to do. In fact, on the contrary, he has a distaste toward Christianity. Eric Dubay's video called Jesus Christ Never Existed is not his own work, but rather a one-sided compilation of mainstream and alternative sources, painting a very inaccurate picture of Jesus Christ. Not only is it full of mistakes and unbalanced opinions, but it does not accurately represent the reliability of the New Testament. There are over 5,700 Greek manuscripts representing either all or parts of the New Testament. Over 99% of the original text can be reconstructed beyond any reasonable doubt. Secondly, Matthew and John, who authored the Gospels of the same name, knew Jesus personally and were therefore in an excellent position to give an accurate historical narrative. Mark and Luke were close companions of the apostles and could therefore also write accurately. Now, to combat this, Dubay tries to suggest that the Bible is the only record for Jesus' existence, which apparently in his opinion means that all of the historical manuscripts are some sort of fairy tale. But anyway, this isn't actually true. There are non-biblical sources proving Jesus Christ to be real. Just to give you one example, Tacitus, a professional Roman historian, confirms that Jesus was real and that he was put to death by Pontius Pilate. Tacitus writes the following concerning Christians. Christus, from whom the name had its origin, suffered the extreme penalty during the reign of Tiberius at the hands of one of our procurators, Pontius Pilate. End quote. Now I'm not going to go into this too much because it's already been done. There is a link in the description which analyses more quotes like this, and thus puts forward non-biblical proof that Jesus Christ did indeed exist, contrary to what Dubay would have his audience believe. Now it should also be noted that the argument that Jesus Christ isn't real is a relatively new one. You see, it's only possible to make this claim 2,000 years later. Early writers who hated Jesus and Christians, for example Celsus from the 2nd century, would never question Jesus' reality but only his divinity. But then Eric Dubay tries to create parallels between Jesus and Horus. Horus being a sun god, and I can't help but laugh at this. As I previously mentioned, Eric Dubay is following philosophies and religions which are closely connected with sun worship. But anyway, he tries to create these parallels in the same vein as the Zeitgeist movie, which has been thoroughly debunked, and I'll leave a link in the description to that as well. But I must say, the most suspect part of Dubay's video is that he included a clip of the controlled opposition agent Michael Tessarion advocating the controlled opposition agent Jordan Maxwell. This is Eric Dubay using proven liars again, this time to advocate his own religious beliefs. All in all, this video called Jesus Christ Never Existed is a very inaccurate and misleading one. Another point that I'd like to include is that the YouTube channel Shillstoppers made a video showing that Eric Dubay claimed that he has never lived in Washington DC. However, Shillstoppers dug up the dirt and discovered that it was in fact on public record that Eric Dubay had lived in Washington DC. Now, I'm not really into this. I couldn't really care less where Eric Dubay lives, nor do I care about the history of his dwelling places. But I just thought I'd throw it in there because it's another example of Eric Dubay lying to his audience. Shillstoppers also referred to another so-called expose of Eric, showing that his former girlfriend was some sort of government agent, and that's one of the reasons I made this video. A decent and thorough refutation of Eric Dubay was required for those who have fallen into the old Hegelian dialectic trap and are not following the only golden rule that will ever set you free from deception. That is, do not believe anything anyone tells you until you can prove it in your own research. That goes for the mainstream media, that goes for Alex Jones, that goes for David Icke, that goes for Eric Dubay, that goes for me, and it goes for even your own mother. Because the deception is everywhere. Everyone is either deceived to some degree, or they are deliberately deceiving. The majority of this alternative truth scene is controlled by agents of disinformation. You cannot trust anybody. And remember, shepherds will always lead their sheep to the slaughter eventually. As always, take real care, everyone.
Every morning by the break of day, picking shell in my hand. True to the world, I'm so natural man. Don't nothing hurt me but my back and side. Don't nothing worry me but my wife and child. 'Cause I'm on the road, you know it ain't no time. I got 1, 2, 99.
People, it ain't too much for people to tell me. I'm looking out ahead. A lot of people had it hung.
Waking on the road, you know it's mighty sad. Why I had to be so doggone bad.
My sister and brother, ain't nothing too much that they can tell me. Listen, I've been on the road traveling. I had ran into a lot of
Hey,
people.
hey, 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 hey. Wanna go home, but it ain't no news. Jail lost man won't let me go.
No, he got his eyes on me.
If they ever let me go,
Yeah?
I won't be a bad boy no more. Six months on the road, you know it ain't no time. I'm done 1, 2, 99.
Some of them,
Hey, 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 hey,
they don't
hey,
drive tractor truck.
hey, 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 hey.
Some of them,
Have to wait from sun to sun. Will I ever make it back home?
stop at the old folk yard and ask for a drink of water. I remember all of that. Step and give him a drink of water. Oh, no.
Waking on the road, you know it mighty sad. Why Big Daddy had to be so bad?